Hello everyone, my name is Anusara Chandel and I am a first year student in IT branch at NIT Raipur, and this is my introspection video of communication skills in semester practicals. So first of all, I'd like to tell you about introspection. Introspection is a process of looking inside yourself. It is an act of explaining your own thoughts, feelings, motivations and actions to understand why you did it and what you did it. Think of it as a self audit or a mirror for your mind. Instead of looking at the outside world, you pause to look inwards to analyze your behaviors. In the context of my communication skills practical, introspection isn't just about I did this or I did that. It involves three steps. First is observation, acknowledging what happened. Then, second, analysis, understanding why it happened. And conclusion or growth, deciding what that means for my future. So, my first question to myself is, am I using my time wisely? Well, when I have a busy or a hectic day, I often assume I'm being productive, but that isn't always true. For the very first day of my college, many seniors visited us for the group PRs. Their advice was to join every club and attend every event to discover our interest. I was really influenced by that. My friends and I formed a large group of 9 or 10 people, and our main agenda was often just to roam around the campus. We went out almost every day, snacking and chatting at Chapati in the evening, or exploring my new places and game zones whenever we had a free afternoon. After all this, I would be too tired to do my assignments. Somehow I submitted them on time, so I didn't think it was a big of a deal. However, when my mid-semester exams arrived, I was nervous. I ended up pulling sleepless nights fueled up by lots of coffee. I had myself I told myself I would study for the end semester exam properly after practicals ended on November 3rd. But that was just a procrastination. I still ended up studying just one day before the exam. During the last 2 weeks of November, I felt immense pressure. But then I looked at my roommate from the BTech branch. She studied day and night, but also so stressed she didn't even sleep. Seeing her made me realize my situation was actually manageable. Even though my branch had a heavier workload, we had to make 12 engineering graphic sheets while the other only did 7 or 8. I realized I couldn't pull all nighters like my friends. Lack of sleep made me dizzy and unproductive. So I changed my strategy. I changed my work as completed my work as soon as returned to the hostel. Even if I was tired, by finishing my assignments early, I only freed up time for examination preparation. So, to answer the question, did I spend my time wisely? Not always in the beginning, but eventually I learned how to manage my time better. My second question is, am I achieving the goal that I have set for myself? To answer this, I would first look at what my goals actually were. When I first stepped into NIT Raipur as an IT student, I had an idealistic child click list. I started I wanted to start coding in Python from day one, maintain a 9-pointer CGPA, join the best technical clubs, and still have a social life. I thought I would be that perfect student who balanced everything efficiently. As I mentioned earlier, the influence of my friends and the excitement of campus life took over. My goals of daily studying was quickly replaced by daily outing to chapatis. For the first 2 months, my technical growth was stagnant. I wasn't coding, I was just roaming. I realized that setting a goal is easy, but the discipline required to achieve it is much harder. especially when you are surrounded by distractions. However, if I look at my goals from a different perspective, from the perspective of adaptation, then the answer changes to a yes. My biggest achievement wasn't mastering a coding language instantly, but rather surviving the demands of the first semester without breaking down. The engineering graphic sheet course is a perfect example. When the rest of the college had a lighter load, we in the IT branch had those 12 sheets to draft. My goal shifted from perfection to completion. I watched my friends pull all nighters to finish them, and I saw my roommate sacrifice her mental health for grace. I set a new, smaller goal for myself that I do not want to compromise on my health. I know my body cannot handle sleepless night or dizziness, so I achieved the goal of finishing those 12 sheets by working constantly in the evenings rather than panicking at night. So while I may not be the top coder in my branch yet, and I may be procrastinating on studying for theory exams, I successfully achieved the goal of finishing my own rhythm. I learned that I cannot copy my friends' patterns. I achieved the goal of understanding my own limits and successfully clearing the practicals despite the initial chaos. I'm not exactly where I wanted to be on the day one, but I am definitely more disciplined than I was 2 months ago. In a competitive environment like NIT, keeping a healthy perspective is probably the hardest thing to do. This is a silent. So, my fifth and my final question to myself is, when did I last push the boundaries of my comfort zone? When I reflect on the question, when I push back the boundaries of my comfort zone, I realize that for me, stepping out of my comfort zone wasn't just about a single dramatic event, but rather the sustained daily efforts of surviving and thrifting in my first year of engineering. The most tangible example of this was the recently during our engineering graphic coursework, where I found myself facing a significant heavier workload than my peers. When students in other branches were assigned only 6 or 9 sheets, our branch was required to complete 12 rigorous sheets, and pushing through the mental fatigue and the frustration of that extra workload forced me to balance a discipline and patience that I didn't knew I possessed. Simultaneously, I have been pushing my intellectual boundaries by reflecting to stay safe within what I already know. Even though I have a comfortable grasp of basic Python, I decided to challenge myself by diving into the complex world of blockchain coding from scratch and preparing for college coding exams or events, which terrified me because I meant exposing my skills to judgment and potentially failing in front of others. I also pushed my social and personal boundary by actively seeking to join the national service scheme, a decision that forced me to look beyond my books and consider how I can present myself to serve the community, which is a task for someone just finding their footing in college. Every time I studied a complex concept in physics that didn't make sense immediately, or every time I sit down to finish that 12th EG sheets when I desperately wanted to sleep, I was actively expanding my limits. Therefore, the last time I pushed my boundaries were actually today, yesterday, and the day after before, because I'm constantly choosing the difficult path of growth over the easy path of stagnation, proving to myself that I am capable of handling the pressure of this degree and the future that comes after it. Thank you. So, my fourth question to myself is, why do I matter? When I ask myself, why do I matter? I realize that my worth isn't just about grades, but about my resilience, my curiosity, my desire to help others. I matter because I am a person who does not want to give up when things get tough. For example, when getting into this college this semester has been a challenge from balancing complex subjects in physics and chemistry to complete this 12 engineering graphic sheets when other had it easier, but I pushed through because I am dedicated to my growth. Matter because I have a vision from the future where I can use my skills. I'm not just learning the basics of Python or exploring how blockchain works for a test, but because I want to use these IT skills to solve real world problems one day. Beyond just technology, I matter because I care about my community, which is why I have such a strong interest in joining the NSS. I believe that a good engineer must also be a good citizen who is connected to society. Ultimately, I matter because I am a learner who is constantly trying to improve. Combining my technical knowledge with human empathy, and even though I am just in my first year, I am already building the foundation to be someone who contributes something valuable to this world. In a competitive, my third question for this introspection is, am I employing a healthy perspective? In a competitive environment like NIT Raipur, keeping a healthy perspective is probably the hardest thing to do. There is a silent culture here that glorifies struggle. If you do not pull all nighters, if you aren't running on caffeine, and if you aren't stressed 24/7, people assume you aren't working hard enough. Initially, I almost fell in this trap. When I saw my roommate from BTech branch, who is brilliant and hardworking, losing her sleep and constantly stressing over grades, I questioned myself. I thought, am I being too relaxed? Should I panic too? As if suffering was a necessary part of the BTech experience. But this is where I believe I am employing a healthy perspective. I realized very quickly that my body and my mind do not function that way. As I mentioned, lack of sleep makes me dizzy and completely unproductive. Instead of forcing myself to fit into that sleepless engineering student stereotype, I chose a different path. My perspective shifted from competition to preservation. When I had those 12 engineering graphic sheets to complete, my perspective wasn't I needed to be better than everyone else. It was simple. I need to get this done efficiently so I can go to bed on time. Even regarding my procrastination, yes, I studied for my NSEMs at the same last minute. It wasn't ideal. But the healthy part is I did not let that guilt consume me. I accepted that I spent few months exploring and having fun with my friends, and that creates memories which are as valuable as grades. So yes, I'm employing a healthy perspective. I have learned to prioritize my physical well being or peer pressure. I have realized while assignments and exams are temporary, my health is permanent. In a race where everyone is running blindly, I think I'm doing okay by walking at my own pace.